I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to Ozark City Hall. We're glad you're here for the Board of Aldermen meeting and engaging with your elected officials. Listening to perspectives of city residents, business owners, and other community members helps our elected leaders make more informed decisions. Before the meeting begins, let's review our rules of order. These ensure the meeting is orderly and efficient while allowing everyone who would like to speak an opportunity to do so. There are two opportunities for you to speak: during the agenda's scheduled visitor and guest portion of the meeting and during public discussion of new bills and resolutions. During the agenda's scheduled visitor and guest portion, anyone who signed up at the city clerk's office before 5 p.m. the Wednesday before the meeting can speak to aldermen about the topic they specified. Now, in the public discussion of new bills and resolutions, that allows you to give comments for aldermen to consider before they make a decision. The consent agenda bills are not open to comment. If you want to speak about an item on the consent agenda, you must sign up by noon the Friday before the meeting. You can do that by contacting the city clerk in writing or fill out a card in the council chambers before the meeting starts. Write down the specific bill and give the card to the city clerk before the consent agenda is set. That bill will then go to a first reading, which is open to public discussion, and anyone may speak about it. Anytime anyone is speaking, the following rules apply. First, only one person should speak at a time. Please be respectful of the person speaking and hold your comments until it's your turn. Second, anyone speaking must do so from the podium and speak into the microphone. Third, you must first provide your name and address in writing to the city clerk before beginning your comments. These forms are provided near the entrance. You also must state your name and address to the Board of Aldermen using the podium microphone. Fourth, all comments should be addressed to the mayor and aldermen. Finally, all speakers have 5 minutes to make their comments. The mayor or alderman may have additional questions for speakers after their 5-minute time limit. Occasionally, the board will invite someone to make a presentation at the meeting. This is only to give information to the board about a specific topic. These presenters will have no time limit on giving their information. This meeting will be live streamed and recorded with video and audio unless there are technical difficulties. The use of cell phones or other devices is discouraged during the meeting. Please silence your phones right now. Again, thank you for being here and engaging with the City of Ozark. The meeting will begin shortly.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Aiken.
Here.
Alderman Campbell.
Here.
Alderman Galloway.
Here.
Alderman Hutchinson.
Here.
Alderman Metcalf.
Here.
Alderman Snyder is absent. We have 5 aldermen present. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you very much. As for the minutes tonight, we have approval of the November 3rd, 2025 regular session. Are there any questions about these minutes as they've been printed before we vote? Any questions?
Mary, I had
Yeah.
something. I had it pulled up and now it's. I made a brief remark about having a connection to one of the zoning proposals from that meeting. Page 3, top of the page. I guess I'm splitting hairs, but it says that I agreed that it was a good proposal. I would say I probably used language like it was a not unreasonable proposal, being the attorney that I am. There was also, I think, on the motion to place the development agreement on second reading, it just said.
Okay, what page?
It's page 6 of the packet. Or maybe it's page 6 of the minutes. It just said an alderman opposed placing it on second reading. Alderman, and it didn't specify. I was just going to point out that that was me who opposed placing that bill on second reading.
I see that. I'll make that correction. Thank you.
You have both of the corrections made? Okay. Any other corrections? Okay. So therefore, if not, we're going to approve the minutes as printed, but with the two corrections we just now mentioned by Alderman Aiken. Is there a motion that we?
I move that we approve the minutes with the two adjustments as noted.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay. All in favor of voting on the motion to approve the November 3rd, 2025 regular session minutes with the two amendments, two changes, do so by show of hands. And none opposed, so that carries. Okay, there's no ceremonial matter, and we have one scheduled guest tonight. We have with us the Chris Russell, who's the CEO, president of the Ozark Chamber of Commerce, to give us update on the chamber.
Well, the biggest update we have right now, and thank you once again for an opportunity to speak. Ozark, get ready. We're going to have one heck of a big parade. I just counted today. We're up over 101 entries, and today's Monday. And we had 79 last year. Now, you remember an entry is just, hey, we want to be in the parade. Well, that might mean 25 Corvettes, right? Or it might mean, 30 Jeeps and so forth. And some of the organizations have 2 and 3 different floats. So it's going to be a fun time. We have the square is going to be packed as well. We have several chamber members and vendors that are going to be on hand, some crafters. We have 3 food trucks. We have a kids entrepreneurial market that's going to be joining us as well with several kids farmers market type deals. We have bouncy houses. We have Dogwood Ranch bringing ponies. It's going to be a fun Santa Village, and that'll start about 2 o'clock and, of course, shut down right about the time the parade starts. Maria and I will be planning to do our live broadcast once again. We had our first meeting on that today. We're going to be doing some internet testing again this week, make sure that all work out just fine so that people who cannot come to the parade physically will have a resource to watch it online if they want to enjoy the parade. And then Maria and I will do our best Macy's Day interpretation of the parades. That'll be fun, guys. It's going to be a good show. And I just want to appreciate all the hard work that the Ozark Police Department will be doing that night. Also the Public Works, everybody that it takes to pull off the parade in this community. It's really going to be a special event. So we want to make sure that you guys get out and come and watch that. Also, 2 other real quick things. I know you got a full agenda. We're all set. I know you guys have got your tables in for the State of the Community address. I want to encourage residents, concerned citizens who would like to attend. You can. It's not meant for, it's $20 for a ticket. You can go to ozarkchamber.com, purchase your ticket. So if you're talking to people out there and they want to come to this event, we should have room for about 115 people over at the Ozark Innovation Center. So we should have plenty of room for a nice event. And that's coming up on December the 9th. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. Program starts a little after 6. So that's that. And then I'll just lay this on you, save a date, February the 7th. That'll be our annual awards banquet. We are starting the planning committee meetings on that too. And of course, we want a big turnout for that. We'll get all the details on that later. I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of the dates so that you can schedule accordingly. So unless you have any questions, I just want to close with, I really appreciate our partnership. I know that you guys are going to be approving a budget later tonight, and I appreciate the support that you guys have shown the Ozark Chamber of Commerce and the community, and we are greatly appreciative, and we are working hard for this community in every aspect that we possibly can. So, any questions?
Any questions?
All right, let's have a parade, Ozark.
Thank you very much. Okay. There's nothing on the consent agenda tonight. We're going to second reading, and there's only one item on second reading. And because it's second reading, there's no public discussion with this, but this is bill number 3701.
Yes, Your Honor. I move that we place bill number 3701 on its second reading by title and brief description only.
Okay, second. Okay. The motion is that we place bill number 3701 on second reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Metcalf. It was seconded by Alderman Galloway. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss bill 3701, do it by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance amending the corporate boundaries of the city of Ozark, Missouri by annexing an approximately 0.72 acre parcel of real property generally consisting of the western half of South 17th Street from East South Street to the northern extent of the Ozark Marketplace subdivision.
Okay, now I'd like to welcome our Community Development Director, Randall Whitman.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, members of the board. I don't have any additional information from the presentation we gave at the first reading, but I just would reiterate that the annexation of this right-of-way won't change any jurisdictional authority on 17th Street. That remains with the special road district. It just literally is an annexation of this property into the corporate city limits of Ozark. So answer any questions I can if anything's.
Okay, any questions from the board? Okay, I am not seeing any. Thank you, sir. Okay,
Your Honor, I make a motion that we adopt Bill 3701 as ordinance number 25078.
Second.
okay. The motion is that we adopt Bill 3701 to become ordinance 25-078. That motion was made by Alderman Metcalf. It was seconded by Alderman Campbell. Roll call, please.
Alderman Snyder is absent. Alderman Galloway?
Aye.
Alderman Aiken?
Aye.
Alderman Campbell?
Aye.
Alderman Hutchinson?
Aye.
Alderman Metcalf?
Aye.
We have 5 aye votes. Motion carries.
Okay, now that was the only second reading. Now we have several first reading, and these are a form of public hearings. And before we do the first one, which is Bill 3703, I just want to make a comment. For those who are in attendance tonight, if you had a chance to review tonight's agenda, you will see that the rezoning for the Bingham Barn on Country Crest Road is not on the agenda tonight. The applicant has decided to withdraw her application entirely, and so the board tonight, we will not be hosting a public hearing or discussing it. Just for clarification, we'll be discussing annexation, and this is tonight discussion, and if approved, we'll be voting on another meeting. But when it's annexed, it's right now, as in the county, it's still agriculture. If it should become annexed, it will stay agriculture. So if the applicant later decides to rezone it, that'll be another meeting and it'll be on the agenda. But that, just want clarification on that. At this time, our first reading bill is bill number 3703.
Yes, Your Honor, I move that we place Bill number 3703 on its first reading by a title and brief description only.
Okay, we have a second.
Second.
Okay, the motion is that we place bill number 3703 on its first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Metcalf. It was seconded by Alderman Hutchinson. All in favor on the motion to discuss Bill 3703, do by show of hands. And it does carry.
An ordinance amending the corporate boundaries of the city of Ozark, Missouri by annexing an approximately 3-acre parcel of real property located at the southwest corner of the intersection of East Country Crest Road and North 14th Avenue.
The public hearing now for bill number 3703 is now open. And now we'll have our Community Development Director, Brandon Whitman, to the floor.
Sorry. If I don't follow this exactly, I'll mess up and get ahead of myself. So. Thank you. Okay. Yes, this is an annexation of 3 acres on the southwest corner of County Crest Road and 14th Avenue. Everybody, we had a very lengthy public hearing for the annexation and the zoning. As the mayor said, we're just going to discuss the annexation tonight, answer any questions there are. These are the factors the city typically considers when any property petition is made to annex it into the city. We look at whether or not, obviously, is it already in the city? Is it compact and contiguous? Is it adjacent to the city limits? Is the property in good standing? Are the taxes current? Things like that. And is it located, or where is it located with respect to the city's urban service area? In this case, it is, as you can see, everything in green there is in the city currently. So it is adjacent to the city. It is located in Tier 1 of the city's urban service area, so it is eligible to be annexed. And there is infrastructure, water, sewer, and streets and the like within 300 feet of the property. So briefly, the zoning around it, everything you see there in green is a residential single-family district. It's a retired single-family district in the Wellington and Silo Ridge subdivisions. The property itself and the property to the north is an A1 agriculture district. That's a county zoning district. So look at the comprehensive plan. What guidance does it give it? The comprehensive plan very generically and broadly speaks to the fact that the city should consider and support annexation of properties where there's an infill opportunity, where the properties are, where they meet that criteria and they're adjacent or contiguous to the city limits. As I said, this property is. The plan also makes recommendations with respect to infrastructure in concert with annexation. So this property is adjacent to what would be a future portion of the Chadwick Flyer on County Crest Road. So in this case, when it develops, how it develops, they would have to build that portion of the trail, and they would also have to build sidewalks on 14th Street. So the future land use plan recognizes this property as a parks and recreation open space use, and that's a little. That's not suggesting that that is the only way the property can be used in the future. Ideally, it would have some type of connection and it would have a relationship to the trail. If it's in a low area, those areas would be preserved for open space, and we would kind of take care of that area as it's a sensitive area. But to clarify, this doesn't mean the city has any intention or is required to go and purchase this property and convert it to a park. This is probably something we need to look at in the future, is how we designate some of these properties in the land use plan. So with respect to zoning, the property, as I said, would remain agriculture until such a time as there's an application to change the zoning from A1 to a residential district or whatever the applicant or property owners desires. So there was significant feedback, but at the time there was a zoning application that kind of went along with this. Most of that noise came with that proposal. Other than that, we have not heard any additional feedback since it was at Planning and Zoning in October. The Planning and Zoning Commission did review it in October and recommended or supported the idea of annexing this property. So with that, I'll answer any questions. The applicant is here. She'll also be glad to answer any questions, I'm sure.
No? Okay, I'm not seeing questions. Does the applicant want to say anything? It's all up to you. Okay. Okay. Is anyone here from the public tonight that wishes to speak for this bill 3703? This is your time to come to the mic. Okay. I'm not seeing a movement. Is anyone here from the public that wishes to speak against bill 3703? This is your time. I'm not seeing movement, so therefore the public hearing for bill 3703 is now closed. This bill will be held for a future meeting. So now we're going to draw attention to our next order of bills, and it's bill number 3704.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3704 on its first reading by title and brief description only.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion is that we place bill number 3704 on its first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Metcalf, second by Alderman Aiken. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss bill 3704, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance amending the corporate boundaries of the city of Ozark, Missouri by annexing an approximately 16.74 acre parcel of real property located at 6201 North Farmer Branch Road, an approximately 1.15 acre parcel of real property located just south of 6201 North Farmer Branch Road, and an approximately 11.3 acre parcel of real property located in the 1700 block of West Hilltop Road.
Okay. Now, at this time, the public hearing for bill number 3704 is now open. This time, we'll recognize the Community Development Director, Randall Whitman.
Yes, this is also an annexation case. This is actually 3 properties that are combined to total 29.2 acres. There we go. There's the total. There's 3 tracks, and these tracks existed They were separated in the county. I'm not sure exactly how they came to be, but is one annexation that would annex all three collectively. There's an 11.3 acres, 16.74, and then there's a narrow strip, which is an access easement, which is 1.15. So as before, these are the factors we consider, we ask you to consider in the commission when a piece of property is considered for annexation. Is it in the city limits? This one is not. Is it compact and contiguous? Since this aerial shot was taken, we've annexed and zoned Marabella to the east, which is the property here. And as you can see, the property to the west, the property to the south are also in the city. So it's adjacent to the city on almost all sides. There's a little bit of property kind of to the north that's not, but otherwise it's an enclave or an island of property that's unincorporated. The property is within Tier 1 of the urban service area. It's got a clear title. There's no taxes due. There's nothing to prevent the city from considering it for annexation. And there are utilities within 300 feet of the property. From a zoning standpoint, the property to the west is C2. That's basically where James River Church is located. There's some R4 property, high density multifamily to the south. And as I said, the property to the east is where Marabella is, and it's a mixed use plan development, housing, commercial, single family, multifamily. The future land use plan or the comprehensive plan gives some guidance. In this case, it recognizes the property as mixed use. So that can mean a lot of different things. It can mean a combination of multiple zoning districts, multiple use groups, or some combination of that. We'll have 3 public hearings in a moment to look at the zoning for these 3 tracks, and we'll go into that in more detail. But the plan also recommends improvements with respect to trails and sidewalks and things like that. All of that would occur at the time of development. So the annexation and zoning would not trigger any of those infrastructure investments. There was no significant input provided. There was a little bit of conversation about some stormwater runoff to the north, but that's not really germane to annexation or zoning. That's really more of a development question. Other than that, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval, and staff agrees, and be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions from the board for our director? Okay, I am not seeing any. Okay. At this time, is there anyone from the public who wish to speak for Bill number 3704? This is your time to come to the mic if you would speak for this bill. Or there's someone from the development that wishes to speak? Yes.
I'll speak for it.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Brian Kubik. I'm the architect from Buxton Kubik Dodd in Springfield. I represent the landowner. We are just working on getting annexed into the city of Ozark so that we're able to do a future project on the site. So I know we're going to be talking about that here in a minute, but just wanted to let you know that I'm here and if there's any questions you have for this project.
Okay. We're good. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
We'll hear more from you later on the rezoning. Anyone else who would speak for this bill? This is your time. Okay, I'm not seeing movement. Anyone who would speak against this bill 3704, this is your time to come, please, to speak if you're against. Okay, I am not seeing movement, so therefore the public hearing for bill 3704 is now closed and will be held over to a future meeting. Okay, now let's draw attention to our next bill, which is 3705.
Yes, Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3705 on its first reading by title and brief description only.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion is that we place bill number 3705 on its first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Metcalf. It was seconded by Alderman Galloway. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss bill 3705, do so with a show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, amending the zoning code and official map by changing the zoning classification of certain real property located at 6201 North Farmer Branch Road.
Okay. At this time, the public hearing for bill number 3705 is now open. And we'll recognize again Randall Whitman.
Okay, as I said, this is the first of 3 zoning applications we received for these 3 tracts. This particular tract, 16.74 acres, that has frontage on Farmers Branch. It's currently zoned County Agricultural or General Agriculture A1, and they've made an application to rezone it to R4 High Density Multifamily. There you go. So these are the factors that the Planning Zoning Commission and staff, these factors are actually in the zoning code. And these are the things we ask you to consider and the commission considers and staff bases our staff report on. So what is the zoning classification of the property currently? What is proposed there? What is the zoning on the surrounding properties? And how does it relate to the city's comprehensive plan? What recommendations are made? What trends in the area that might impact this property and the zoning? And of course, is the property suitable for the proposed zoning and the uses that are permitted in that district? In this case, I'll go back one, I'm sorry. The properties, as we said, no, I'm going to go this way. The properties to the west is where the existing church is, and it's zoned C2. And if you're not familiar, churches have a little bit of leeway. They can locate in almost any zoning district or any zoning district, but it happens to be zoned C2. The property to the south is R4, so it's multifamily. The property to the east is Marabella, and it's a mixed-use development. This property is agriculture, but they are proposing to rezone it to multifamily, and it would allow for the entire property, the entire 16 acres to be multifamily or R4. It's not just a portion of it. And I think the applicant will speak to perhaps a little bit to what their plans are, and that'll provide some clarity on that. But I just want to be clear that it's not just rezoning a portion of it. It is that entire 16.74 acres. So the comprehensive plan, again, recommends infill of development on the city's fringe where properties are compact and contiguous on at least one or 2 sides. In this case, now that Marabella is in, like I said earlier, it's an enclave or it's an island of unincorporated property. So it would be supported by the comp plan staff. The comprehensive plan recommends it as mixed use. In this case, this particular segment is proposed for multifamily, and that could very easily be a component of a multifamily development. Again, sidewalks and trails are supported and recommended in this area along Farmers Branch. Any development within the property would have to have sidewalks constructed at the time of development as well. With that, there was really no input in terms of the zoning at the Planning Zoning Commission hearing. They recommended approval of it, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Yes, Alderman Aiken.
So, Director Whitman, the plan calls for it to be mixed use. Why should we just rezoned the plot across the road there. That property was also designated mixed use in the plan. So that seems to be the general trend of development through there. So why should we not be looking for mixed use on this property?
I think I would answer it 2 ways, and I think I would let them have a shot at answering that too. I think the first thing I would say is that, again, residential, whether it be multifamily or some other type of diverse housing, is a component of mixed use. So it's supported in that way. But 2, the way the city's mixed use district ordinance is written, you have to have a commercial component with the multifamily. It couldn't be a standalone development. And that's most likely, they don't have any interest in doing a commercial project. They've got a housing project in mind, and that would be that'd probably limit what they want to do, or that wouldn't be the direction they would want to go. And I'll let them comment on that. But those are the 2 reasons why, when we discussed this, when they first came to us, we said that's probably not the best avenue. The property to the west has already got a parking lot on it. So that kind of speaks to itself, and that'll be in the next public hearing. But does that help a little bit?
It helps. I mean, aside from whatever the developer's preferences might be, are there practical limitations when you look at this property to developing it for commercial or part commercial use?
No, I don't think so. if you look at what was proposed and approved in Marabella, they have 2 commercial lots. They have a high-density multifamily lot, and they have some R3 lots directly across the road. So yes, mixed use would be appropriate, just the same as residential or a church or any other thing. So I don't know that one is more appropriate than the next. I can't really explain why the comprehensive plan recommended mixed use. There may have been some thought, apparently somebody knows why that is. Cameron?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I do want to clarify because this came up in the past. When the comprehensive plan was drafted, we didn't have a mixed-use ordinance. It was drafted with the intent to provide flexibility for any use, so it wouldn't allocate specifically a commercial or residential. Following the comprehensive plan, that mixed use, we actually adopted a general mixed-use ordinance, so the two aren't tied together necessarily. Again, when the comprehensive plan was drafted, that mixed use was so it wouldn't tie it to a specific use. It allows staff and the commission board flexibility to consider several different options based on the surroundings of development.
Are we good?
I'm good, thank you.
That's a
Okay.
much better answer than I give. Thank you, Cameron.
Okay. At this time, does the developer want to come speak? Because I think you're going to explain what you plan to do here. I think we'll help
Yes, sir.
clarify.
I will explain. I do want to be clear. I'm Brian Cubic again, Cubic Springfield. I do want to be clear. We do not have any plans of developing this property as fully as high density residential. So this is the James River Church property. It will be mixed use, most likely. It will be. We're trying to work on a project that's a small residential project for the students of James River College. We are going to be doing we would like to do a dormitory, small dormitory of 36 units. And do you guys have the design drawings? Do we have it here now? So we are only planning on developing 2 acres of the total 29 acres for this 36 unit dormitory project. So the students of James River College actually were residing in the multifamily apartments just south. They were asked to leave 2 years ago, I guess, a year or so ago when they had an ownership transition. So since then, the students have been living in different places around Ozark in other apartments and locations. So the church's plan here is to find housing that's safer for them, directly adjacent to the youth building that was just built, to where they actually are in a classroom there. So our plan is to build this one building, and if that goes well, hopefully we maybe do another building. But we're not going to be developing the entire property for student housing, since their school is not that large. The remaining of the property, people ask, what is that going to be? And the answer truly is they don't know. We don't know what the rest of it's going to be. I could see it. I could see it being educational buildings potentially, because they obviously do have a college here, so I could see it be educational buildings. It could be more church buildings. But as of right now, they don't have any plans for the remainder of the property.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I guess my questions are that, or comments, are that when we look at rezoning, that's a sizable piece of land.
Yes.
And when we're rezoning, we have to look at what the possibility could be, regardless of who the person applying for it is. You could sell it, and the R4 would go with that sale and have high density on all of it. And so I'm hesitant to accept that zoning for all of it. I don't think that's the kind of balance that I'm looking for in future development for the city. And I respect that you only have plans to do dormitories on a small acreage, but this rezoning is for the whole 16.74 acres.
Correct. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I understand that, and that honestly, that was what was advised to us by the city planning department, was to rezone that whole thing for the R4. So we would have liked to have just rezoned that 1 2-acre piece, but we were actually advised to go for the full rezone.
Where are you talking about the location of this dormitory?
It's in that south east corner, I guess, of this 16 acres. So at the very bottom left corner, you can see a little drainage ditch right there. So our building would be right there. Yes, right there. So 2 acres, which the scale of it, the 2 acres is actually about where that cursor is a little postage stamp building there. So. And then there's a drive that runs along the bottom side. We're actually going to be talking about that side as well. But that drive is an access drive into the church. That'll also be an access drive to this small building.
Okay. Galloway has a question.
I think I heard you said you had some preliminary drawings of the buildings.
Yes.
And I wouldn't mind if you got them to us by email or through the clerk, or at least I would be interested. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else from directors? I don't want to rush anybody. Okay. I have the question you asked. I want to follow up on Alderman Hutcherson. You said you were advised by the planning and zoning to rezone all of it this way. I'm curious why. I'm just not questioning, but I'm just curious why y'all came with that rationale.
Yeah, but I just to clarify that. So part of it is the timeline. Brian can kind of speak to this. They had a desire to split that 3 acres off and only rezone it, but they had a very specific timeline they wanted to stick to. If they went down that timeline, we probably would have been into January by the time there was a minor subdivision done. And if annexing, they had to do a minor subdivision first for the county, annex it, and then a zoning hearing. As I remember, that wouldn't meet their timeline, so this was a more expedient way to get to the point.
So less hoops to jump through. Okay.
Yeah, that is correct. We were attempting to do it at the same time because based on a 12-year build, we were trying to get it done for the students for the year 2026 year. So 2026 fall. So we're actually already behind schedule. So that's why we were kind of trying to push them together.
Okay. Yes, Alderman Campbell.
You said 26-year bill, 12, what did you say? Did you say 12-year?
The fall 2026.
Okay, so you meant to say 12 months instead of 12-year.
12 months.
Okay, okay.
Did I say 12 year?
Yeah.
I thought you did.
Yeah, I thought yes.
But, and I was,
I thought that was a long time. Okay. Yeah, I think we're good. Thank you. Okay. Anyone else here who will speak for bill number 3705? This is your time to come to the mic. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. My name is Kurt Parsley. I'm one of the officers of James River Church. And so,
And where do you live, sir?
and I live in the city of Ozark. I live in 1398 East Indian Valley Road.
Okay.
So, anyway, that's all I know about.
Okay.
Thank you. You should have read that. Mr. Cubic is correct. The church acquired the property, all of the property, the rest of this specific piece in 2021. We do have James River College, which is a site location for Evangelical University. And our goal has been, as we've had the students in the housing that was immediately to the south, kind of when he said they were asked not to come back, it wasn't because they're bad students. They're great students. And we kept good care of the property, but there's a change of ownership, wanted to do something different. So we now have these students that over different apartment complexes throughout the city of Ozark. We shuttle them because not every freshman has a car, not every sophomore has a car, which is really not a great thing for us to put them into a shuttle bus and move them at different times. So we are trying to get them back onto or adjacent to our property. This seems to be the best location to put up a complex that would be for the students, for the student housing, where they could then easily walk to and from the property, be actually on property owned by the church. And it was the request for us to go to R4, specifically in order to expedite the situation. We really would like to get the students in there in August of 2026. As things have slowed down just a little bit, we see how that sometimes happens. We all understand the rent, but I would speak in favor of this. And the reason is for your questions.
Yes, Alderman Galloway.
Tell me about the James River College campus. What it's associated with Evangel? How long has it been in operation? What's its mission?
It started in 2007. I won't go through all the history, but we started in 2007. It was called James River Leadership Campus, or James River Leadership College. It was associated with Central Bible College at the time. Central Bible College and Evangel University merged together. I cannot remember the year. And so we've been associated with Evangel University. It's a site location where all the students come to the campus for their classes. The teachers are brought over from Evangel. They're either adjunct faculty or full-time faculty. Rather than teach the classes and run their clipboard there at the James River campus with a special area that's specifically for them. We typically run anywhere from about 75 to 120 students. I'm looking to grow that. This year is down a bit. The students knowing that there's no housing on site really made a huge difference for us. The housing that was adjacent to it was better, not great, but better. But now it's on. We're really excited about that.
So may I continue? So it's an undergraduate program, or?
Yes, it's a we get to associates with AA. So it's just a few program.
AA is Associates of Arts. And then how many of the students do you anticipate the dormitories will hold?
Well, I believe it's scheduled to be 144. Four students per room. The 3 floors of room is 12. I have to do the math fast. 12 rooms per floor, so 36, and 4 students per room. Approximately, we would have a couple that we only have 2 for our resident assistants and the resident directors. So about 126 students.
So you're hoping to house almost all of your class there.
Yes, we have very few who live at home. Very few students.
And you feel this is, I think you were making comments that your attendance was down because of the lack of housing. And then the reverse is true. You're thinking that by having housing, you'll be able to build up your college program here in Ozark?
Correct. I can't give exact numbers, and some of it would be open prayer. We used to house across 65 when we first started as James River Leadership Campus. Before those apartments, the embassy suites were built. We housed across south and west of where Mud House is. I can't remember the name of the apartments. And so we had grown a certain amount, stopped growth. As soon as we were able to move into these apartments that were immediately adjacent to the property, it grew to the 110, 115 students. And then this year, when we had to move out, it dropped back down to about 77 students. So I believe those are directly correlated. I can't say that I've done a study, and this is exactly how many are going to come and how many will live, but that will be directly related.
And so if it's successful as it hopes, as you hope, as your organization hopes, then you think this land may be used to put in additional housing for your student population, or have you gone that far in your thinking?
Well, I mean, we have years and years ago looked at a master plan in the event that we ever were to build an education facility. That was before we moved our youth facility into the church. We did that work as well for us. And so that former youth facility, kind of, can't really point to it right there, but it is vacant and potentially usable for education. That building right there, which is really close by, used to house our youth. Youth moved into this new construction, and so that would, we at one point had a master plan, so if we ever were to purchase this is prior to us owning it, to possibly put more of our education facilities out here. With this building being vacant, we would most likely retrofit that for educational facility. So I don't think that we would need to build up all of it. And it would be, I would say wheels of education grinding real slowly, so I don't think that we would necessarily grow rapidly, nor would it be our desire to grow too rapidly. We just have to have all the infrastructure in place for that.
Thank you.
Okay. I see no other question. Thank you, sir, for being here. Okay. Anyone else who wishes to speak for Bill number 3705? This is your time. Okay. I see no movement. Anyone here who wishes to speak against Bill 3705? It's your time to come to the mic.
Jeannie McFall, 1324 East Warren Avenue. I'm not really against the proposal that they are doing for the small parcel on the south, but if you approve this, you're approving multifamily for the whole 16 acres. And how many units would that be allowed on there for multifamily? The other thing is there is a trail to be put on this property that would line up with Marbella. And you might want to keep in mind that there would be a crosswalk to be able to get across Farmer Branch Road. Think about that with the traffic going up and down that road. With Marbella and then the potential, there could be over 500 units, possibly on 16 acres, 4 people to a unit. That's a lot of people on Farmers Branch Road. And who's going to pay for the infrastructure? Are they going to be forced into complying and paying a portion of the improvements for Ozark Special Road District, since they are emptying onto Farmers Branch Road, so that Marbella doesn't have to put the bill for the whole thing, because they are using that road. So that's something else to consider. So those are just things that I have a concern with. And you can put conditions. That's one thing that wasn't done on the Warlock project over on, 21st Street. So you might want to think about that, because this is R4 and it is 16 acres. So keep that in mind.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak against Bill 3705? Okay, I'm not seeing movement. Therefore, the public hearing for Bill 3705 is now closed, and now this bill will be held to a future meeting. Now let's draw attention to our next bill, which is Bill number 3706.
Your Honor, I move that we place Bill number 3706 on its first reading by title and brief description only.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is that we place Bill number 3706 on its first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Metcalf. It was seconded by Alderman Galloway. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss Bill 3706, do so by show of hands. And it does carry.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, amending the zoning code and official map by changing the zoning classification of certain real property located in the 1700 block of West Hilltop Road.
Okay. This time, the public hearing for Bill 3706 is now open, and we recognize again our Director, Randall Whitman.
This is the second of the 3 zoning cases. This one, yes, is for this 3 acres. It's sandwiched between the previous property we discussed and the church property itself. And again, it's A1 general agriculture, and we're requesting to have it zoned to C2 general commercial. The property to the west, which is where the church is. Excuse me. I'll go through this real quick. Some of this is repetitive, I apologize. Same criteria we require to consider looking at an zoning application, zoning of the existing property, the surrounding property, what trends, how's the property used, what does the comprehensive plan recommend. So we'll look at those things real quick. The property to the west, which is probably the most relevant, is where the church is located, and it's currently zoned C2. Part of the parking lot for the church goes onto this property. Makes sense as to why they requested to have this portion of it zoned C2. Again, the property to the east that we just had a hearing on, they proposed to rezone into multifamily. There's multifamily in the One thing I'll clarify that I probably shouldn't, and maybe will help a little bit. I spoke about the logistics of this. Their desire was to just come in and just develop that 3 acres. But you can't access water and sewer without being in the city, so you have to annex it. But we couldn't just, you have to jump through hoops and they have to be in the right sequence. So splitting up that 3 acres would have to occur in the county. It would have to be annexed in that sequence, and that would have to be zoned. So this property, it didn't work that way. When we laid out a timeline for that, it pushed it out so far, and we gave them options. We said these would be your options that you could do and pursue this for all 3 properties. Annexing them at the same time would be the fastest way, rezoning them individually to the best zoning district that achieves their vision. This is kind of the most efficient path to get there. So I wouldn't say we don't support multifamily, we don't support commercial, but obviously the church is growing, the church is there, they've got their infrastructure already spread across this particular parcel, so we do support that. Future land use, again, calls for this to be a mixed-use project. Commercial is a component of mixed use. The church, even in this sense, is a church, it's also a school. There's other amenities there that kind of support the school. So I would argue that it is a mixed use to a degree. The sidewalks and trail provide connectivity for the neighborhood and for the adjacent roadways. So we feel like this is supported by the comprehensive plan. We would hate to not rezone something and basically yield this property not being zoned correctly for how it's currently being used. So with that said, there was no public hearing, there was no comments. Other than stormwater on the north side, it does access Hilltop Road, so that's why the address, it's that way on the agenda, but it goes all the way to the south. So I'll be glad to answer any questions I haven't already.
Okay. Any questions for our director from the board? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Thank you. Okay. At this time, from the public, anyone wish to speak for Bill 3706? Or does representative of the church?
Mayor, members of the board, Kirk Parsley, 1398 East Indian Valley Drive. So, again, this is just trying to get all the property the church owns, the rest of it, beginning in 1997 is when the first purchase was, and it is currently C2 in the city of Ozark. So just moving the rest of the property that we own in the city of Ozark for annexation, and this was the previous bill presented, and then requesting which is C2, which would then be in accordance with what the rest of the church property is to the west.
Okay, thank you, sir. No, sounds logical. So anyone else here who would speak for Bill number 3706? Okay, I'm not seeing movement. Is anyone here who would speak against Bill 3706? This is your time to come to the mic. Okay, since there's no movement, the public hearing for Bill 3706 is now closed, and this will be held over to a future meeting. Now we're going to draw attention to our next bill, which is Bill number 3707.
Your Honor, I move that we place Bill number 3707 on its first reading by title and brief description only.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion is to place Bill number 3707 on its first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Metcalf. It was seconded by Alderman Galloway. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss Bill 3707, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, amending the zoning code and official map by changing the zoning classification of approximately 1.15 acre tract bordered to the north by 6201 North Farmer Branch Road.
Okay. The public hearing now for Bill number 3707 is now open. And welcome back, Director Randall.
This is the last of the 3 properties that were applied to have annexed. This property is located here. It's actually an access drive, as you can see. It's an existing driveway from Farmer's Branch, 50-foot easement. It is a separate piece of property, so they would have to rezone it separately. plan to have it rezoned from agriculture to R4 as well. Same criteria that we look at, that we talked about previously. Again, it's adjacent to that area that they want to develop, and it would be part of the development area. It would provide access to those apartments and that tract of land once it's separated from the parent tract. Comprehensive. I really usually the same slides. I would be glad to answer any questions. I can go through this again, but I don't.
Okay. Alderman Hutchinson has a question for you.
Yeah. So will that road remain a private drive, or will it become a public street when that's developed back there?
Okay. Anyone else for the director? Okay. Thank you. At this time from the public, anyone who wishes to speak for bill number 3707, this is your time. Nope. Okay, I am not seeing movement. Therefore, anyone who wishes to speak against bill 3707, this is your time to come to the mic, please. Okay, there's no movement. Therefore, the public hearing for bill number 3707 is now closed, and this will be held over to a future meeting. Now, let's draw attention to bill number 3708.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3708 on its first reading by title and brief description only.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion is that we place bill number 3708 on its first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Metcalf, second by Alderman Aiken. All in favor to discuss bill 3708, do so by show of hands. And it does carry.
An ordinance amending the municipal code of the City of Ozark, Missouri, Chapter 405 zoning regulations by adopting one new section, Section 405-430, Downtown Single Family Overlay District.
Okay, the public hearing now for bill number 3708 is now open, and we will welcome back again our director, Randall Whitman. You should just stay up here.
We're hitting the buttons at the same time. So there's these next two agenda items kind of going in concert together. One of which will repeal a subsection of the downtown overlay district. The other one will replace it with some additional language and some amendments. And we'll also expand the boundaries of geography and where that downtown district is. So this amendment was proposed, was inspired by an applicant who lives in this area on the west side of 3rd Street, who wanted to expand their garage. This particular, their proposed project, if you will, wasn't allowed by the way the regulations were written. As I said, these are the 5 things these amendments will do. Expand the boundaries of that district. It would reduce the front yard setbacks for the uninhabitable portion of the house. So the garage would still have to be 25-foot setback, setback 25 feet. The house or the habitable portion of the house could move within 15 feet of the street. The notion there, and I've got a slide that kind of illustrates this a little bit better, is that we want to maintain 25 feet for a car parking in the garage without blocking the street. This gives us an opportunity to fix that portion of the code. In doing so, our real goal was to reduce the side yard setbacks from 7.5 feet to 5 feet in this area, because a lot of the lots are very narrow, they're old, they're platted, some of them back in the 1900s. A lot of places, individuals own one lot or a lot and a half, they're kind of shoehorned in there, so that we do want to have, that's the intent of the district, I think, when it was adopted, to provide some grace for those lots that are those properties, or houses that are those properties. So we take that 5-foot setback to another step, and an applicant or a homeowner could apply to the planning and zoning commission. And in theory, if their property or their situation qualifies, they can have every reduced area to zero, so 5 feet to nothing, so it could be a zero setback for that garage or that addition. And again, by doing this, where we're repealing it all in its entirety and readopting it, we would put it in its own section of the code, so it's a little bit more searchable with the table of contents and things. So that was one of the reasons we were repealing it. We had this. So this portion of the code is where you would go to this table, you would find the setbacks for everything, every zoning district, from single family all the way to office, warehouse, manufacturing. This particular section for the downtown district is one of the subsections underneath. So, as I said, our proposal is to repeal this in its entirety and readopt it in section 430 versus 426. Kind of the logistics of it. This is the portion right here. This is the existing boundaries of the downtown overlay district. This portion right here is where we are proposing to expand it. Okay. The reason we chose this area to expand is you can see this is a plat, I think, 1907. Some of these right-of-ways and old, what we call paper alleys still exist. There's some houses and some homes and some structures. So this amendment would benefit those property owners to be able to keep them expanded and give them kind of an avenue to provide some relief. Use them and continue to use them without the law. So that's what okay, one more example here. That's where those roads exist now. They don't show up on the assessor's map. You can look really deep and find that they are there. They're so flat. This is some property that's pretty typical in this area where there's an existing alleyway north and south. There's no battery. So this is the example that we shared at the legislative Anyway, that particular project couldn't have happened the way ours currently is. At least for a while back, we would find some flexibility. There's a lot of properties that are crammed into narrow lots that they own a lot. So this would benefit a lot of properties. Very good for development, maintaining home structures, keeping the environment. So I'd be glad to answer any questions. I do have a slide that says this. The Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed it. They recommend approval.
Okay, any questions from? Okay, I think we're good. Thank you, sir. Okay, at this time, anyone here from the public that wish to speak for Bill 3708, please come to the mic. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone. Anyone here who wishes to speak against Bill 3708? This is your time, please. Okay, I see no movement. Therefore, the public hearing for Bill 3708 is now closed and be held at a future meeting. Now let's draw attention to our next bill, which is Bill number 3709.
Yes, Your Honor. I move that we place Bill number 3709 on its first reading by title and brief description only.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion is that we place Bill number 3709 on its first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Metcalf and seconded by Alderman Hutchinson. All in favor of vote of the motion to discuss Bill 3709, do so by show of hands, and that does carry.
An ordinance amending the municipal code of the city of Ozark, Missouri, Chapter 405, zoning regulations, Section 405-420, to remove regulations related to the downtown single-family overlay district.
Okay. The public hearing now is open for Bill 3709. And we welcome back Director Whitman.
This is the last time I'm up here. This is the parent, this is the second part of that duo where we would, I think the way it is, it appears on the agenda, we've adopted the amendments. And the second bill would be to repeal this. So it may be a little bit backwards. I think it comes out the same as long as we support both amendments. Everything I previously said stands for both of these agenda items. If you have any additional questions.
Any questions for our director? Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone here from the public who wishes to speak for Bill 3709? Okay. Okay, anyone here who will speak against Bill 3709? This is your time to come to the mic. Okay, therefore, public hearing for Bill 3709 is now closed and will be held over a future meeting. Now let's draw attention to Bill number 3010.
Your Honor, I move that we place Bill number 3710 on its first reading by title only.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion is that we place Bill number 3710 on its first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Galloway. It was seconded by Alderman Campbell. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss Bill 3710, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance approving the petition to amend boundaries by adding property to the Ozark Marketplace Community Improvement District, making findings and authorizing actions related to the district.
Okay, now the public hearing for Bill 3710 is now open, and we'll welcome outside counsel, Sarah Granat. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. The ordinance before you tonight is related to a petition to add property to the Ozark Marketplace Community Improvement District. If you remember, both the annexation that you approved on second reading tonight and then the development agreement amendment from last meeting, this petition amending the boundaries adds that 17th Street right-of-way to the middle of the road on 17th Street next to Ozark Marketplace subdivision that's being developed. If you remember, the point of adding this property is to allow the developer to be reimbursed for costs related to the right-hand turn lane into the development. The property was not previously within the city limits. As such, at the time of the petition for the original creation of the CID, the developer could not request that property be included in the CID. The CID statutes require that all property must be within the city limits. It is now within the city limits. Developer is now requesting that that property also be added to the community improvement district, because another requirement of the CID statutes is that all property that, all reimbursable costs must be incurred on property within the district. So to get reimbursed for those costs of the right turn lane, must be within the district. I'll remind you some of our discussion from the last meeting, and developers here as well to answer any questions on that. But there is significant expense that will be incurred to relocate utilities. It has to do with RODOT, right-of-way easements. So it's about $500,000, I believe, to move those utilities, and that cost is would be eligible to be reimbursed under the CID petition if approved. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and as I mentioned, Brett is here as well. Did you have any comments you wanted to make specifically, or we can do questions first?
Okay, you want, I'll make it.
Sorry if I'm getting ahead of ourselves, but so can you explain how this bill fits in with the following bill, which is the execution of a cooperative agreement with the CID?
Probably could have been the same bill, but I like whenever we're amending the petition to the CID, I just like to keep it separate. But the cooperative agreement, if you'll remember, the original authorizing ordinance for the petition requires that the city, the developer, and the CID enter into a cooperative agreement. That just details how funds are going to be spent, the administration of the district. It's kind of the city's way to keep some control of it, the separate political subdivision that you've created. So along with amending the petition, adding this property, We're amending the cooperative agreement to also allow those costs to be reimbursed. So we're amending the budget of the cooperative agreement, just getting everything in line with kind of the current state of everything. But the second, the next ordinance to be considered is the cooperative agreement amendment.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Very well said. Very informative by this point. Federal law 4640 number of course, Missouri. It is a pleasure to be back here in front of you tonight. I won't go into details. Here, happy to answer questions. Last time I was here, I went into the detail of all these things and how they interact with each other. So step one was that development agreement allows us to get always open on time. If you happen to go out this afternoon to the site, you would have seen curb and guide before, starting to the west and moving to the east. I was actually just out there right before I came here, and they are continuing work on the site. So all that is on track. Step B was the annexation, which was passed earlier tonight. And then step C is the amendment of the CID. Again, the annexation and then the amendment of the CID and the cooperative agreement to match allows us again the opportunity, if the development performs, to raise funds to reimburse us for public improvements within that area, which ended up being much more complicated and involved than we had originally anticipated. So that's kind of how they all go together. But I figured I would just kind of talk about that quickly and answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions from the? I'm not saying thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
One more item, because this is a petition amendment, it's a public hearing, so I'd like to invite anyone from the public to
Yes.
come on out. This is the 4-day notice as required by state
Yeah.
statute. So-
No, that was my next on my script. I try to keep myself organized. Okay. At this time, anyone here from the public wish to speak for bill number 3710? This is your time to come to the mic. Okay, I'm not seeing movement. Anyone here who would speak against Bill 3710? This is your time. Okay, there's no movement. Therefore, the public hearing for Bill 3710 is now closed and will be held at a future meeting. Now let's draw attention to our next bill, which is Bill number 3711.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3711 on its first reading by title only.
Second. Okay. The motion is we place Bill 3711 on its first reading by title only. The motion was made by Alderman Galloway. It was seconded by Alderman Campbell. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss Bill 3711, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance approving the execution of the First Amendment to the Cooperative Agreement with Missouri Commercial Development LLC and the Ozark Marketplace Community Improvement District.
Okay, the public hearing now for Bill 3711 is now open, and we'll welcome again Sarah Granat back.
Thank you again. I will keep it nice and short on this, as Alderman Aiken alluded to. This does coincide directly with the petition amendment. So this is the cooperative agreement, again, that helps facilitate the cooperation between CID, the city, and the developer. It establishes roles, obligations, and the rights to reimbursement. So the amendment does 3 specific items. First, it amends the legal description that is included to match with the petition, the amended petition. It also amends the map that shows that 17th Street being included. And so those are kind of administrative items that we call them, right? Just making sure we're in line with everything. And then the third item is it does amend the budget, and that is that allows the CID and the developer to line up those costs that are now expected to be incurred and that will be added if the petition is approved into the cooperative agreement. Again, just bring everything in line and make sure that we have a good cohesive package moving forward that everyone knows exactly what's going on. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Yes, Alderman Aiken.
What was the actual change to the CID project budget? looks like the new proposal is a little over $9 million total.
I believe so, and Brett's probably better to answer the exact specifics on that. So it would be improvements to existing roads went up from 600,000 to 1.275, and then the line above that for road sidewalks and traffic control went up by about 400,000, and utilities went up by about about 600,000. Sorry. And then the soft costs lowered by about 250,000. So yeah, the overall impact looks like it's 2 million. And I would defer to Brett for those costs other than the $500,000-ish, 600,000 looks like utility movement that I mentioned before. As he works on that, I know with the CIP.
Okay.
Happy to answer that. Of course, these are budget items, we'll reconcile the actual projects. Generally speaking, I think I mentioned last time I was here, maybe even a couple times, we've made tons and tons and tons of rock. And so that is a, so when the utilities increase so much, there's really two reasons to that. One was from rock. Every time I think the sewer, we did down approximately, I think the deepest feet on the side. I'm sure gravity drains. So there was that. The other line item on utilities was storm drain. That was the city is accepting this public improvement along the side again. So that's the utilities, and then basically on roads is the utilities, generally speaking. That has to do with the project that we're talking about, the 17th Street improvements, including the corner there. And then, to be frank, I think that I had this communication with our engineer about some costs that were improved on South Street that I thought were in the budget, main budget, in terms of the work. That $1.2 million is basically the bid that we got from capital for South Street.
So just so I'm clear, so the new proposed budget includes some changes that don't have to do with the 17th Street lane improvement.
Yes, when we were discussing what to do here, because we were amending the cooperative agreement, we decided to take a current look at where we actually were, since we're getting closer to the end of the budget versus right before we would put a shovel in the ground. So this much more reflects actual costs.
Campbell, sir.
I'm going to try to ask this the right way. I guess I'll start with you. So does any of this adjustment, I'll call it, include anything that is not infrastructure related, that if everything was known up front, that we would not have, that would not have fell into the same category of being reimbursable by sales tax or whatever?
No, it does not. And so we, as Brett mentioned, just kind of as we were looking to add the additional project on 17th Street, we said, well, if we're cracking this already, let's make it match reality. What would have happened if we did not, add the 17th project and kind of reopen this cooperative agreement, is that this probably would have come before, it would have come definitely before the CID board, and we probably would have suggested it come back before the board of aldermen, just given kind of the level of variation. Although the cooperative agreement allows the actual costs for the projects identified to be reimbursed. So it does not actually add anything other than the 17th Street project. But in the other costs Brett described, those would have all been eligible to be reimbursed on a more of an administrative level because they are the identified public improvements. And again, it's all of that sales tax revenue. So I would say the impact of this would be potentially if the CID kind of overperforms, it may take X years or X months longer before we terminate the CID because there's a higher dollar amount now to be reimbursed, but it's all items that would have been eligible
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, at this time, anyone from the public who wishes to speak for Bill 3711? This is your time. Okay. Let me ask the other question. Anyone here who would speak against Bill 3711? This is your time to come to the mic. Okay. I'm not seeing them. Therefore, the public hearing for Bill 3711 is now closed and be held at a future meeting. Now let's draw attention to item 10, which is Bill 3712.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we place bill number 3712 on first reading by title only.
Second.
Okay. Okay, the motion is we place bill number 3712 on its first reading by title only, and that was made by Alderman Aiken. It was similar, Alderman Metcalf. All in favor of voting to discuss bill 3712, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, establishing sewer connection fees.
Okay, the public hearing for bill 3712 is now open, and we'll now recognize Public Works Director Jeremy Parson.
Good evening. It's been a while since I've been up here. Good to see everybody. I'm here every year at this time, doing the same thing. This is just procedural. I've got a presentation, but most of you all have been through this before. In 2005, when we went after this bond initiative, the actual bond revenue was, I should say, the bond council advised that we increase the impact fee or the connection fee by 3.5% each year. And that's simply to keep up with inflation and operations and maintenance. So this is standard operating procedure. Be happy to run you through anything else, but I will say, in the interest of keeping up with inflation and operations and maintenance, we are recommending this staff that we follow the bond council's advice and increase this by 3.5%. To the average home builder on a single family, it's about $91. But every little bit helps in keeping up with and maintaining our vast infrastructure system.
Okay. Any questions for Director Parson? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, anyone here from the public that wishes to speak for bill number 3712, please come to the mic. Okay. Anyone here who would speak against bill 3712, this is your time. Okay, I'm not seeing movement. Therefore, the public hearing for bill number 3712 is now closed and will be held at a future meeting. Okay, at this time, we're going to draw attention to new bills, which is bill number 3713. And since these are a first reading, it'll be open to public discussion. Okay.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3713 on its first reading by title only.
Do you have a second?
Second.
The motion is replace bill number 3713 on its first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Galloway. It was seconded by Alderman Campbell. All in favor of voting to discuss bill 3713, do so by show of hands. And it does carry.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, amending the budget for fiscal year 2025.
Okay, and now we recognize our city administrator, Eric Johnson.
And we'll recognize our finance director, Mary Edna Wilson. Sir.
Okay, so budget season, and we're working on the U26 budget and so this is kind of a housekeeping bill. It is amending the 25 budget to reflect the actual expenditures, which is required by state statute. So it's really just cleaning up what we've already done this year. A lot of them are things that you've already known about. But, we didn't get the right line item at the time that we made the changes, and some of them are just due to inflation, extra costs that have been incurred. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. I won't try to read it on the line.
Okay. Any questions for, yes, yes, sir.
What is this, Mariano, if you don't mind? What is this donated fixed asset for $2.5 million?
When a developer finishes the development, and they've done the infrastructure, built the roads, put in water lines, sewer lines, where stormwater treatment plants, they donate it to the city so that it becomes our asset. And we record that as the revenue, because it's an asset increase to our asset, and we also record it as an expense. It doesn't affect our cash whatsoever. That does not harm us depreciation, which we have to record in the water fund. Both of those are non-cash.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Looks good, thank you. Okay. Is anyone here tonight wishing to speak regarding Bill 3713? This is your time. Okay. I see no movement, therefore, Bill number 3713 is going to be held at a future meeting. Before we go on, we're going to take a 5-minute break. So, 5 minutes.
He's gone.
Well, I was trying to be gentle and. Okay, now, again, we're on new bills, and we're looking at first reading of bill number 3714.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3714 on its first reading by title only.
Do we have a second?
Second that motion.
Okay. The motion is we place bill number 3714 on its first reading by title only. Excuse me, that motion was made by Alderman Galloway. It was seconded by Alderman Aiken. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss bill 3714, please do so by show of hands. And it does carry.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, adopting the 2026 capital improvement plan.
Okay, and this time now we'll welcome Assistant City Administrator Cameron Smith to the mic.
Yes, good evening. In your packet, you should find a copy of the capital improvement program. It is around 107 pages, so it is fairly lengthy. Don't feel like you need to print this. If we're successful in getting this adopted, we will provide the Alderman all a copy of the plan. So just kind of running back through the highlights of the capital improvement plan. There you go. A strategic plan, typically 5 years in length, to provide a financial planning for the development, maintenance, and enhancement of the city's infrastructure and public assets. Again, a multi-year planning tool to identify essential projects for city investment decision-making and for providing transparency. The typical projects in the CIP are $50,000 or greater in value, relatively large in size, with a useful life of 5 years or longer. And then in the plan, it also will identify the funded and unfunded projects, a funding source, and coordinate with the annual budget upon the adoption. Project examples of the CIP that are in the CIP are project or facilities, land acquisition, utilities, streets, park improvements, equipment such as vehicles, machinery, or software, and planning, feasibility, engineering, or design studies. We have 9 funding sources in the city of Ozark. They include the general fund, the water fund, the pool fund, the park fund, the OC or the Ozark Community Center and Stormwater Fund, the Park Impact Fee Fund, an Officer Implementation Fund, the Capital Improvement Fund, and then the Solid Waste Fund. As you look through the CIP, you will notice that the majority of these are allocated or used in the CIP. Some of them do not fall within the CIP. This graph just kind of shows you the breakdown of all the funding sources and the percentage of those funds as they're invested in the city of Ozark. Again, the majority of the funds come from the general fund or the water fund. Currently in the CIP, we have identified 70 projects, 1 from administration, 2 from human resources, 16 from parks and recreation, 3 from planning and development, 4 from the police department, and 44 from public works. Of those 70 projects, 24 are proposed to be funded in the 2026 budget. Of the 70 total projects over the 5-year course, it is identified $118,586,427. 46 of those projects are unfunded, totaling a little over $109 million. The 24 that are noted to be funded are just a little over $9 million in the 2026 budget. So again, chipping away at a fairly large number. The budget summaries from the 5 years, again, you'll see in 2026 of $9 million plus. And then following that, you'll see the numbers jump up substantially. We do anticipate as we kind of get into the end of the 26 budget, looking in 27, those numbers will start changing again as we identify the available funds to fund those projects. Again, just a recap of 2026, none of the projects for administration are funded in the budget. None of the human resource projects are funded in the budget. Parks and Recreation identified $225,000 funded. Planning and Development did not identify any funded projects in 26. The Police Department, $1,161,000. And then Public Works, $7,811,625. This is just giving a summary of each one of those 26 projects. So the Parks and Rec was the Ozark Center soffit replacement. In the police department, you've got the police department headquarters that had been discussed previously for land and design, and then fleet vehicles for the new vehicles for the police department. I would add those vehicles are a reoccurring replacement of existing fleet as they phase out. In Public Works, several projects in Public Works includes some half-ton trucks, 18th Street reroute construction over by Creative Audio or south of Creative Audio, Spring Valley area. 22nd Street improvements, you may recall this is a project shift from CC. Robertson Street improvements, an annual micro surfacing of streets, an annual mill and overlay, and then an asphalt full depth replacement of streets, existing maintenance of those streets, along with asphalt crack sealing, and then annual striping of asphalt or concrete if it so exists. Lloyd Street extension, this is a portion of Lloyd Street that dead ends currently. This would extend it out to NN Highway. Downtown paver and drainage improvements, stormwater management construction, the annual sidewalk rehabilitation construction, Garrison Springs Trail Phase 1. You may recall that contract was recently awarded for a portion of that trail. The Finley River Trail Western expansion, this is to the west from the OC along the south side of the old treatment plant. The Jackson Street connector construction, Finley River Trail extension, that's the portion along the Finley Farms area from where it dead ends currently under the bridge. Trail asphalt sealing, identified northeast water tower and well construction. And I think that's not the actual construction, but I think that's the initial design of that project. Don't believe we'll build a water tower with $275,000. Highway 14 improvements, you may recall that's a cost share with MoDOT. $110,000 was our portion of that. And then the northeast water redundance construction. And with that, be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Sorry.
At the end of the CIP, there are a few summary sheets to kind of identify the projects by name and title, the funding of those projects, and then a breakdown of the actual funds or the dollar amounts of those projects.
Okay.
For all 5 years.
Okay. Yes, sir. On Aiken?
Is this the first time we've ever done this?
This is the first capital improvement program that the city has done.
Yes.
I went through it. It seemed like it involved a lot of work.
A lot of work by pretty much every department has some involvement in this. So yes, a lengthy project. And we also used some resources from other municipalities that had examples that we followed as well.
I appreciate the work. Thank you.
Yes. A great plan. Yes, Galloway.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm very grateful for this work, professionally done, and makes me feel very good tonight.
Yeah, very valuable tool for moving forward.
Yes. We have a direction, know where to go. Okay. Thank you, sir. Anyone here from tonight who wishes to speak regarding Bill 3714? Please come to the mic. Okay. I am not seeing any movement. Therefore, Bill 3714 will be held over for a future meeting. Okay. Now let's draw attention to Bill number 3715.
Your Honor, I move that we place Bill number 3715 on its first reading by title only.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion is we place Bill number 3715 on its first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Galloway, second by Alderman Aiken. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss Bill 3715, do so with a show of hands. And it does carry.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, adopting a budget for the 2026 fiscal year.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor, and members of the board, I am pleased tonight to present to you the 2026 proposed budget. This is a very complex piece of work, and this is probably some of the most important legislation that you will enact while you're occupying your seat. And I want to just begin by saying thank you to all of the department heads and all of the team members who worked diligently in preparing this information. There are hundreds of account numbers and millions of dollars. Our proposed budget is actually 44.3 million. And I just want to, it is time consuming, it is difficult to put together. And the team that you have working for you, they are to be recognized and really appreciated. And I just want to go on record saying thank you to all of them for their time and their diligence in doing this work. I am proposing this budget. And like I said last year at this time, once I propose it to you, it becomes your document and you get to do with it whatever you want to. You can make amendments to it. You can cut items. You can reallocate. It is your document to do what you want with. But I hope that you find that this proposal is reasonably and diligently prepared. This budget of $44.3 million will continue to fund very important programs and services. It will implement the new CIP that you just heard about and that you will hopefully adopt at the next meeting. This budget is balanced, although it does use cash reserves to help balance the budget. We will talk more about that on Thursday. I want to remind you that Thursday we do have a work session starting at 11:30, and we definitely will have one item, and that will be a discussion of this budget proposal. We will get into the weeds and we will dive very deeply into the budget document on Thursday. There may or may not be another agenda item, but I wanted to tell you that so that you don't feel like you're pressed for time in reviewing the information that was sent to you. There's a lot of information to digest, and we'll take Thursday to dive into it and to answer any questions that you may have. This budget proposal also implements the 2026 fee increases that the board recently approved. This supports 9 funds: the Water Fund, the General Fund, and the OC Stormwater Fund represent 91% of those. So 3 of the 9 funds represent the bulk of what you have before you. This budget supports 258 employees. There are 122 full-time and 136 part-time. There are no new positions being proposed in this budget. There was some discussion about possibly adding some budget positions, but I am not recommending any additional positions at this time. Overall, the budget of $44.3 million is a 5% decrease from the current year's budget. That decrease is the result of one-time expenditures and/or grant funds or various funds that are no longer being needed to be repeated in this budget. There are ongoing operating costs that are increasing between 10 and 15%. I will get into that detail on Thursday, and I'll be very specific about what those line items are, where they are, how much they're increasing, and why they're increasing. I want to talk just briefly about some of the major revenue sources that are in this budget. We are a sales tax generating community. Our 1-cent sales tax and our 3/8-cent transportation tax will generate about $6.7 million. That is our estimate for this, for the 2026 budget, that we're projecting 0% growth. So we are hoping that we make our budget projection for 2025, and we're maintaining that projection for 2026. We're hoping we could be wrong and we could see a little growth in that, but it would be very modest. So at this point in time, a very conservative projection. Our property tax revenue is at $735,000. These are annual numbers. Missouri Gas Energy franchise fees, $460,000. Liberty franchise fee, $350,000, and our Missouri gas tax, street tax is $1.1 million. Some of our larger departments that make up the budget, our police department has an annual allocation of $6.6 million. That's authorizes 46 full-time equivalent positions. 39 of those are sworn positions. The department, as a reminder, is accredited and will be going through that process. Begin the next cycle will be fourth quarter of 2026 and into the first quarter of 2027. Cameron, when he was covering the CIP discussion, mentioned that there were some fleet vehicles that are being replaced in the police department. That's included in the budget. I believe it's between $350,000 and $400,000 for 5 vehicles. The Public Works Department and Streets makes up $8.6 million of this budget, and the OC makes up $4.8 million. So between police, streets, Public Works, and the OC, you have 91% of the budget combined in those 3 program areas. There are 3 entities that I would like to highlight here. Chris Russell was here earlier tonight and was talking about the partnership and the relationship between the Chamber of Commerce and the city. I have maintained funding for the Chamber of Commerce at $35,000 annually. That number was increased last year, and we are maintaining that budget number again for this proposal. We also include $60,000 for Show Me Christian County. That represents a $10,000 increase. We have been under contract with Show Me Christian County for 5 years, and at 5 years we've been funding it each year at $50,000. This would be an increase of $10,000 that you would see in this proposed budget. And I believe that we have some guests with us tonight from the Historic River District. I want to just tell them thank you for being here and for being interested in what we do. I am proposing that the Historic River District receive an increase of $10,000 to their budget. So we would go from $15,000 to $25,000 in this proposed budget. And I believe they have plans to implement a very aggressive marketing program. They are free to come here on Thursday and continue that discussion and participation of the budget. But we're very excited to be able to offer those additional increases in this proposed budget. I am recommending a cost of living increase of 3%, which would go into effect January 2026. That would be the raises that would be given to our employees. And this budget also begins the first phases of implementation of the police department building project. You've heard me go on record saying that I anticipate that that's going to be at least a 3-year project. Could go a little bit faster than that. And I have allocated funds in this budget to begin the planning and design phases of that project. That covers some very quick and brief highlights. We'll get into more information at Thursday's work session. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. And if we don't have the answers here between myself or Mary Edna, we'll get you the answers.
Okay. Yes, sir.
2 questions. You mentioned in your colloquy that there were, I think, 9 budget positions presented or something like that. I missed. There were budget positions presented, you said, that were rejected, and I didn't quite follow that.
I'm not following you.
Okay, maybe I misheard that.
I said there were 9 funds.
Funds.
So there are funds. So we have the general fund, we have the general fund, the water fund, the pool fund, park fund, capital improvement fund. There are 9 funds that make up our entire budget. That was my reference to 9.
Okay, I must have misheard you. It came into my ears as 9 budget positions, so I didn't know what that meant. Okay.
No, I don't. I'm not proposing any new budget positions in this budget.
Yeah. Second one, you mentioned the chamber, and I'll disclose to the board that I've been informed, I think, yesterday that I've been elected to the chamber board, which I'm very proud of. I've served once before, but it creates a issue for me with that being included in an overall budget, the voting on the expenditures for economic development that we contract with the chamber. And I am overcomplicating it, but I am wondering if a solution would be to a motion to separate that from the rest of the budget, so I may abstain from voting on that particular budget item.
So you would like to be able to vote on the budget, but you want to abstain from voting for an allocation to the Chamber of Commerce for a conflict
Yes,
concern?
that's it. And so I don't want to hold up the budget process, but at the same time, it seems to me that I would need to separate that out from the rest of the budget for me to be able to vote on the budget. I may be complicating things. It just occurred to me earlier this evening. I didn't have a chance to talk to the city attorney.
The good news is you're not voting on it tonight, so we have a little bit of time that we could research that and we could consider the options that would be available to us, if that's appropriate.
It's appropriate with me. I would hate to hit second reading and then I've delayed it by 2 meetings because we have to do it. That was the reason why I'm bringing it up now. But
sure.
I'm just putting it out there. I don't know if anybody has any ideas or if anybody thinks I'm overthinking it or not.
I'm going to need time to process.
Gotcha. So that answers that. Thank you.
Any other questions for our city administrator? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Anyone here tonight wishing to speak regarding bill number 3715? This is your time to come to the mic. Okay, I'm not seeing any. Therefore, bill 3715 we held over to a future meeting. We're now going to draw attention. We have one resolution tonight. That's resolution number 2032.
Your Honor, I move that we read resolution 2032.
Do we have a second?
Second.
The motion is that we read resolution 2032, and that motion was made by Alderman Metcalf. It was seconded by Alderman Galloway. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss resolution 2032, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
A resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Ozark, Missouri, approving one reappointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, I guess we'll recognize our director again, Brenda Whitman.
Yes, sir. We reviewed attendance records and conferred with Chairman Garrison, and we'd support the reappointment of Caleb to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Any questions to Director Whitman about Caleb? Okay.
Okay.
No, I've got to ask the public. Is anyone here tonight wish to speak regarding resolution 2032? Please come to the mic. Okay, there's none. Now we can go. I had to ask the question.
Yeah, that's good. Your Honor, I move that we enact resolution 2032.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion is that we enact resolution 2032. All in favor of voting to approve resolution 2032, do so by show of hands. And it does carry. Okay, now we'll come back to our city administrator. Do you have an update report for us, sir?
Your Honor, I just have one update for you, and I'm actually going to defer to our Public Works Director, Jeremy, because I think we have a pretty exciting evening this week with the placement of a bridge over 65 highway. Is that accurate?
Yes. You had me so nervous.
So it's like, we did not prepare for this, sir.
We did not. We're doing this on the
No.
fly, Jeremy. So thank
Thought
you.
we had a
Indulge me,
water.
please.
No, this is exciting. Tomorrow night, we will be meeting at 10 o'clock directly to the north of Mr. Dent in what we call the laydown area there. And we will be conducting a safety meeting and with Ozark's Finest, our PD. If anyone chooses to attend this, I will tell you, it will be like watching paint dry. It will go very, very slowly for a while, and then it will proceed to, I'm guessing around 2 a.m. is when the action will start. And we will lift the south side portion of the bridge in place. The following night, it's a rinse and repeat. We did reach out to some property owners. We've got permission from Creative Audio to sit in their parking lot and take it in. So if anybody wants to bring coffee, that'd be great. No. But anyways, it is an exciting culmination to a very large project that's going to be an iconic piece of infrastructure for us. Keep in mind, if you do show up on site, safety first. You got to wear the vest. You got to wear a hard hat. I'll have a few extras. And oops, I don't even have my I usually have my glasses on. You're supposed to have glasses too. Steel toed are recommended. You'll be far out of the way. We're just trying to make MoDOT happy. So, but it's going to be a fun night.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Actually, it's 2 fun nights.
Yeah, two fun.
I don't have anything else.
Okay. Once again, let's recognize Randall Whitman. I think you got the award tonight for the most appearance at the mic.
Super proud. I have one thing to add to my report. We have a regular scheduled Planning and Zoning Commission a week from tonight. We have 5 agenda items. A couple more of those annexation zoning twofers, both on 14th Street and Warren. And then we have a rezoning case up on 23rd Street. So we'll be bringing those agenda items to you in December. That's all I have to add. If there's any
Yes, ma'am.
questions.
Is there any news on Burger King? I've got so many people asking about Burger King.
I know. Me too. I agree.
I was terrified you were going to ask that. Because I was going to look into it myself because I saw a bunch of equipment and materials show up, and I saw an easy lift show up too. So I thought they were going to do some work, and they did nothing. They didn't even. So I'll find out and I'll send you something out. But I was waiting to see something happen, so I
think they were putting back the insulation that's tearing loose. But
yeah. There's some side issues there too. So we're watching it. They still have a permit. They're still legal to do nothing and to do something. So we're anxious as well.
Okay. Any other questions for our director? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Now let's recognize Hayden. You're up next.
Good evening. The biggest thing I'd like to highlight tonight is it is a big week for Parks and Rec, in the sense that on Friday night, we have our mayor's tree lighting hosted at the OC by Mayor Don Currents. And then Saturday, we have our first night of the Festival of Lights. And so you can go through the Ozark Christmas Parade, and then you can join us at Findlay River Park for the first night of the Festival of Lights. Beyond that, we finished up our survey for the Master Parks Plan this year, that first round survey. I am awaiting the compilation of the results, but we had almost 500 responses for that first round. So that was a very exciting response rate. We were very excited about that. I think now the fun part really starts. This is where we start to talk about action items for that. But beyond that, I'm happy to answer any questions on the Parks report.
Any question for Director Hayden?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Board members, any final comments? Okay. I'm not seeing any. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. There's been a motion to adjourn made by Alderman Aiken, second by Alderman Metcalf. All in favor of the motion for adjournment, do so by show of hands. And we stand adjourned.